What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I have been wanting to make this video for a minute now, and I figured why not go over this because I am also really curious to see what people do say about it, which is going to have to come down to the said 750 vehicles here in Motorfest. Now, if you are going to be wondering, guys, looking at the menu here, you're going to see vehicle category or vehicle catalog is going to say 756 total cars in the game. Now, I do admit I probably took this a tad too far to where I even ended up going through every single class in the game or every brand you can think of, going through all the cars in it, going, okay, well, this car is going to be used again there, this car is going to be a special edition of that one, similar to like the Alfa Romeo Giulias here, to where you can clearly see there's a few of them, and also you're then going to notice something like the Acura NSX here in Street Tier 2, but it's also in Drift and Racing, and stuff along that nature. So I pretty much went, well, okay, though, let me see how many cars are truly in the game. Like, is it really going to be 750? So why not go through every single class and really write them down and probably figure out what the true number really is if we were to eliminate something along the lines of the vehicles being used in like Street Tier 2. We're going to see that car again in something like Drift or even Drag and stuff, or even you might end up seeing that said same vehicle around 5 or 6 different times in the game. A good example of this, that way you guys probably do understand where I am coming from, is going to be the Skyline GTR R34. Quick example on this, guys, we're going to have the regular base vehicle here. We're then going to see something like the Lucky Dragon, which is the same vehicle. Then we're going to have the High Octane Edition. Moving down the Drift, you're then going to see the same car here again. You're also then going to see this car in Racing. You will then see this car in Dragster. We're then moving down to Rally Raid. There it is. We're going to see this in Rally, then also Monster over here. So I was like, okay, well, if this car really is going to be used, let's say 10 times in the game, then that vehicle is technically going to only be used once, but you're then going to see the car 10 different times, whether it's like a different version of it, or you're probably going to see this thing being used in Drift, which I would say an easier way to do that is to, well, probably put the car in one category, buy that thing, then maybe put like a Drift kit on it or something, maybe make it a drag car, maybe make it into like a rally raid. To me, though, it feels like in some ways maybe they did not end up doing it this way, because let's say you're looking at a car, you're then going to see that vehicle 10 different times in there, right? That might end up looking like it's going to be a bigger car list than what it actually is. Almost like the entire list is probably going to be inflated a bit, which, if you guys are wondering, there is going to be a lot of different cars in the Crew Motorfest that do the exact same thing. Now, funnily enough, I did end up making an hour-long video that I did end up deciding to scrap, though, where I basically broke every single vehicle class down, going over pretty much the real number of cars in each category, and then having the final number at the end of it. To be honest, I did not want to have that video as an hour, so I was like, nah. In this, though, I am going to break down a few of these classes to give you guys a general idea. Then I'll give you the number I came up with after going through every single class in the game, including the power boats, the planes and stuff, and also the helicopters and the quad itself. So one thing here is going to be a quick example in the BMW category. When heading into the menu again, you are then going to notice you're probably going to find a total of 31 cars in the entire class. So for this, guys, if you do end up going through all of them, you're probably going to see cars like the M2 also being like the Beehive edition. You're probably going to find something like the M3 here. Then there's going to be an edition of that one. You're then going to see the R1200 GS. You move down to like Rally Raid or something like that, and boom. You're then also going to see something like the Z4 there, which is then going to be in other categories. Like, for example, you're going to see it in Drift, and then you might end up seeing this thing in also Racing. You're then going to see the car down in Rally Raid and stuff like that. So if you were looking at that, really looking at each car, you go, okay, so there's going to be 2 of them there. There is also technically only going to be 1 vehicle, which, if we are doing it like that, looking at every single car in this category, it's not going to be 31 cars, but a total of 15 in BMW. This is probably going to give you guys a general idea going through, and I might even end up feeling like players might be like, well, wait a minute, I'm also going to go in and check this out. This is pretty interesting. The funny part is a lot of other classes are going to be similar, guys. Now, I'm not going to break the other ones down, but I will give you an idea, though. So, for example, here again with Chevrolet, I am just going to have some gameplay in the back. It'll probably be easier than going through each category and stuff like that, because I'm sure people are probably aware how many cars there is. But there is going to be 56 cars in the Chevrolet category. If you are going to eliminate some of the cars that once again are going to be other versions of each other, or you're going to see the same car being in Street Tier 2 or something like Drift, Rally, Raid, Rally, instead of being 56 cars, you are going to be looking at 20 vehicles out of 56. Doesn't this sound kind of insane? So I really was like, okay, well, if Chevrolet's like that, let me go check out Dodge. For Dodge, guys, if you're looking at that one, there's going to be a total of 31 vehicles in Dodge, where there's only going to be a total of 9 cars technically, if you remove the additions and the cars being duplicated into other categories. Isn't that kind of insane, man? Like, I feel like this is going to be pretty crazy for many once they do end up seeing it. On top of that, though, there's going to be another one, and probably the last manufacturer I will end up mentioning here because I can keep rambling. Ford is going to be a total of 56 vehicles in the entire game. Once again, if we do go through that, look at the cars that are being used again in other editions and also in other categories, there is only going to be 17 true vehicles out of 55. Doesn't this sound kind of insane, guys? But besides that, people are probably wondering what the number of vehicles I came up with, going over every single class in the game, including the real cars and all of that stuff. So if you guys are wondering, once again, there's going to be a total of 756 cars, okay? If we go through and eliminate all the additions of the same car being, I guess you could say, duplicated, having the same edition, like, for example, the Magma edition or like the Deep Blue edition or whatever, or something like Divine and stuff like that, to where it's the same car but has a kit. If we eliminate all of those and also eliminate the fact that you might see the car in like 7 different categories, like again, we're going to see the Skyline GTR being in like 7 different categories. This is actually going to be insane. There is going to be a total, y'all ready for this? Around 430 vehicles, and that's also going to be including the power boats, the planes, and also the helicopters as well, which right there is around 22-ish vehicles. I'm actually going to head back into the menu here so I can show you guys this. Heading over to brand, we go to type, so boat, plane, helicopter, and quad. As you guys will see right there, technically the helicopter is copy and pasted. It is going to have a livery, so I'm going to leave that one as 1. We're then going to have 20, 21, and 22 vehicles there on top of everything I did end up coming up with. And it's going to be a rough estimate of around 430 vehicles. It could even be less than that. I would actually be interested to really go in and find the exact number, but what I did end up finding, though, is if you were to eliminate the powerboat, the plane, and helicopters and stuff, you might honestly be around 410, 415 vehicles, or even less than that. It might even end up being around 405 total vehicles in the game that are not going to be duplicated or used 10 different times in every single category. So instead of being 750 vehicles in Motorfest, it is technically around 405, removing the planes and powerboats and stuff, which I would say, guys, is honestly just absolutely insane to me. I am curious to know, though, what do y'all think about this in the comments below? I really am going to be interested to see what people do end up saying. I feel like players are probably going to jump in, try to find out the real car list, like not seeing the same vehicle. And I feel like a lot of players are probably going to agree here, though. And with that being said, though, there is something else I did want to mention. Now, I'm not saying seeing another version of a vehicle is a bad thing. Like, for example, you have the M2, the M2 Beehive Edition, or again, something like the Devo Magma, something like the Emerald Storm. I'm not saying another edition of that vehicle is going to be a terrible thing. But I also do feel like seeing that, though, and that's probably going to be maybe like 70% of the new vehicles that are added, quote-unquote new vehicles, even though they're going to be versions of existing vehicles in the game. It really is insane to me, guys. If you were to eliminate that in the game, it's going to be way less cars, which again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because pretty much every game does end up doing additions and all that. I get it. At the same time, though, I feel like being able to customize vehicles or seeing like a new vehicle being added to where maybe you can really customize it, probably do some crazy stuff, might be dope. And the funny part is, though, players have probably been asking for this for a straight minute. A few examples of that is people wanting to be able to change some of the summit vehicles around a bit and at least be able to change around some vanities or even like the liveries, maybe mess with the car slightly, be able to customize them and stuff. Like, we all do know most of the actual, I guess you could say, versions of the vehicles being added are not real. They are going to be fake. So wouldn't it be kind of dope to be able to change them around just slightly? I don't know, just my 2 cents on that. And I feel like players would also really enjoy it. The one thing I was thinking about, though, that really does kind of inflate the numbers of the vehicles in Motorfest is also coming down to the classes. Seeing something like the GTR being used 10 times, or even something like the Dodge Challenger 398 or 392. I said 398. Man, it has been a day, I ain't gonna lie. But the Dodge Challenger 392, though, seeing that car being used like 6, 7, 8 times, like, you're going to look at those cars and go, okay, so that's 17 or 18 vehicles there where it's technically 2 of them, and you're probably going to start seeing that trend with many of the other cars in the game being used. And this is also going to stem back to something like the Crew 1 with how the cars are broken up. Again, I do understand that, but in Motorfest, though, I have been seeing advertisements or people going, yo, there's 700 different new cars or 700 cars in the game and stuff. That is going to be true, but many of the vehicles are going to be used for other categories, and then you're also going to see the newer versions, which again, you can't even touch them. Really wish they would actually allow you to customize those cars, would be really awesome, because again, they are most likely going to be a fake edition, like not something like the Time Attack Navara edition. That car was apparently going to be real, but some of the other vehicles would be pretty dope if you can change them. The biggest thing though, guys, when I was finding this out, going through it, eliminating all the additions, and I only found that there was maybe around 405 to 410-ish. Adding on the helicopter and plane were probably around 430-ish vehicles. That's absolutely insane. Considering in the game it's going to be shown as 750 different cars in the game, where technically if you are going to remove the vehicles being duplicated and the additions, it's around, let's say, maybe 430, which is definitely going to be way lower than what is probably shown in-game, or at least what people are seeing, most likely looking on the internet or seeing what cars are in the game and stuff. But again, though, I am curious to know what y'all think about this in the comments below. I can't wait to see what you guys discuss. I'm sure people might end up checking it out, and probably also trying to find out the true number of vehicles if you remove the additions, and also cars being duplicated across 7 or 8 different categories.